Hello.
Hey, oh, look at that.
Hold on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to yell in your ear. I get so excited. Look at that. Look at that back there.
Look at that wall, dude. That wall of fame right there.
So is this your office or is this in your parents' basement?
Oh, this is my office. How good is it?
It's great. I love it. Michael, you got the Michael Jackson EO picture? Wow.
You like my Striper to hell with the devil?
Nice, yeah. Striper. I remember Striper.
Yeah,
they'd play Striper at church camp. To hell with the devil.
I got some more 80s paraphernalia to go on the wall, so this wall is going to get real interesting real soon. I think getting one of those mics that hang from the roof would be really interesting.
The mics.
Are you ready to rumble? One of those.
Oh, yeah. Those are really great.
That'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
Maybe get some girls to hold cards and walk by.
With the, I could have Janelle like walk by with the, the rounds.
There we go.
The notifications. I mean, what do you do? Just stop answering them, huh?
You look dapper today.
I have my Spanish teacher shirt on.
Espanol?
Espanol. Hablo español. ¿Hablas español?
No.
No?
It was one of those things like I've actually taken classes for it and I worked in restaurants for 10 years. And for some reason my brain said, don't learn this because I should
Don't learn
just by
being around the people that were in the back of the house.
Right.
Amazing. They cooked everything.
The dudes are back.
The dudes are back. Waiting for his royalty, Mark Noffsinger.
Noffsinger.
Maybe he responded because I'm Pret Zinger, and it's kind of close.
Singer, zinger.
Singer and a zinger.
So would you say this episode will be a singer-zinger?
It's likely.
Welcome to the Insurance Dudes, a podcast for insurance agency owners helping us to think of different ways to optimize our business and our lives. This week on Insurance Dudes, we are grateful to hang with Mark Noffsinger, who has over 30 years with Allstate and been on the corporate side as well as on the agency side. His philosophy is to avoid being distracted by things you can't control and look at these key metrics. Want to know which? Find out now on episode 14, Noffsinger, the numbers dude.
All right, just trying to.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
We did it.
Gotta love technology.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to the dudes.
How's it going?
Good. I got so much going on. Like I said, I'm glad you guys shot me an email or an IM saying, hey, are you ready? I'm like, oh, shit.
You ready at 4?
Yeah.
So what you got going?
The contract I'm building, everybody does love bonus, right? So it's time to put a new addition on the house.
There you go.
And who shows up today and says, I want to get started, but the contractors. So
There you go.
you got it.
Another home office.
Yeah, you get to do that every now and then.
Yeah. So, well, welcome. And it's awesome to have you here, Mark. We can do the bumper and all that. So we don't need to jump into that, but yeah, let's just dive in.
That's fine.
I'm super excited to have you. And I did share our conversation with Jason yesterday too, because it was fun talking to you.
All right. Well, I appreciate
It's awesome.
it. It's always good meeting happy Allstate people.
Yeah. That's why we have the insurance dudes, so we can stay happy.
That's right. 50-50. So
Pass the happiness out. So tell us a little bit, or tell the listeners a little bit how you got started. It's a fascinating story.
Well, I don't know if it's fascinating. My and I won't go too long, but my dad was a plant manager for Buick. I'm from the favorite town or favorite city in the world of Flint, Michigan. But back in the 70s and 60s, boy, it was rocking. It was a place to be. But long story short, I just knew he worked his butt off. And my best buddy's dad was president of the independent agents in the state of Michigan. And all I know is he worked about 2 days a week. he played golf 3 days a week, and they had a chalet up north in Michigan. And I said, Dad, I'm sorry, I want that job. So I actually went and got a silly guy went and got a degree in insurance, Bachelor of Science, and then just at a ripe old age, I sent out, back then you could send out 20 resumes and get a job. And Allstate was one of them, and ended up on the claims side of the organization. And a couple of years went into sales. The IA, my buddy's dad said, look, just do claims for 3 years and go into sales and life will be good. And actually it has been pretty good. So 3 years to the day, I walked across the hall from claims to see the territorial sales manager. I said, time to become an agent. And I really did want to be an agent. And at that time they needed sales managers. And he said, well, what about a sales manager? He says, you could keep your same salary that you have right now as a claims manager. I'm like, wow, that sounds pretty good. So that's how it happened. I did my own, back in those days, it was a neighborhood sales office. So I did that for a couple of years, sold, came back, did some management stuff, and then worked my way up and was a TSL for part of Michigan, part of Indiana. And back in 2006, 2007, I decided that I didn't want any more corporate world. Not because I hated them. The agents have a lot more fun and a lot more control. If you think our world is stressful from time to time, figuring out leads and selling and all that, you start getting up to that TSL level and above, and the politics and the pressure and forget it. So anyways, I did the agency side. I bought 4 of them, merged 3 into 1 and kept 1 as a satellite since 2007. So when I bought, we were 5 million. We are now 12 million today. I bought 3 more. We've done 2 scratches. We've now consolidated kind of. So we're just got 2 locations, $6 million in each. I have a good staff. I've had as many as 30 and as low as, I think today we're 18 or 19. I made 3 job offers this week. So if I'm hesitant as to who I have coming on board, people are taking tests yesterday, today, that sort of thing. So that's my story.
That is awesome. And having that TSL experience brings a lot of reports and numbers that I think maybe some of the agents, as they come in and open up, they don't look at these things, right?
I start my day out somewhat early. I'm also a father. I'm a divorced dad with twin 8-year-olds at the ripe old age of 57. So, and I have bookends. So I've got a 27-year-old and a 25-year-old too. The 27-year-old works for me. He's one of my LSPs. So cool. He's doing well. But yeah, you start your day out early. The first thing you got to take a look at is Dash. Look, the size of my book, the number of items I have, and the number of policies I have, I know that I have to do on average between 70 and 100 quotes a day. I've got to average between, and I'm in Michigan, we have a close ratio of between 8 and 10%. And I still believe I can grow the book on that and make a buck along the way. So we have to quote my world, and this is what I have learned. When I interviewed agents to come on board to be EAs, they'd always ask me, you always got the question, well, how much does the average agent make? And I'm like, well, there's 10,000 agents across the country, but I do know that in our region, we have an agent that makes $40,000 and we have an agent that makes in excess of $1 million. And I don't know which one you are. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to make to the point that you're comfortable. If you're comfortable with $500,000, you're going to figure out how to make $500,000. If you're happy making $75,000, that's your plateau. And it was amazing with agents to watch them in their first 3 years grow pretty fast. And then all of a sudden, usually in that 3rd to 5th year, they plateaued. And then usually they would take off again from that 5th year to the 7th. And then wherever they ended up, it's crazy, but wherever they were at in their 7th year, if they were not growing, that was probably where they were going to be at for quite a while. So, and they were comfortable there. So my business is built on managing all day long marketing. My job is to make sure to excel in requotes, win-backs, warm transfers, internet leads, cross-sell leads, and then to keep the retention side of the equation going. So that's where I stay. And I do that through numbers. My team knows that I'm a numbers freak. Now, I don't walk around and say, get on the phone, but they know if I ask them a question, I probably already know the answer, and I probably can back it up with numbers.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
And it's simple. It's really, really simple arithmetic, right? Like you when we were talking yesterday, the three things you look at: quote volume, close percentage, and your production number, like what you need to hit to get to that inner circle or chairman's. And it's not hard. It's just once, plug and chug, and now you have the number. Here's the GPS.
Right. Well, in the newest one, they came out with this great IPS thing. Now, we had always hit the numbers, but you could hit trips and numbers and bonuses in years that you only did 10 life apps. It was all about production credit. Well, now in my world, it's kind of like, I think whatever you try to do, you should try to max out. So if they give you an IPS number and they say, here's how much you can make monthly, I do the math to figure out how I can max out, which at the 0.5 level for me is worth $5,000 a month because of the size of my book. And I found out that it equates to around $500 to $1,000 per million if you can stay at that 0.5 level. If on the IPS piece, the IPS upside piece, if you're following me. So we need to issue between 6 and 8 life apps a month. So the first thing I started tracking was quotes. I mean, it kills me sometimes when guys say, well, I'm struggling to get my IPS. Well, how many life quotes did you do last month?
0.
I don't know. 2? I'm like, what if you just took all your endorsements, and I had a staff do this for 1 month, and we sold a couple. What if you just took all your endorsements and all you did for the whole month, just send them a personalized proposal? They didn't even ask for life insurance. Just send them a life quote and say, I'm here for you. We have people that respond, go, God, I didn't know you did that. But guys get tied into quotes on P&C, but they don't get into activity volume on the life side. You can hit those IPS numbers just like you hit home and auto. Just have a process in place that does consistent activity all the time on purpose that you measure, and stuff will happen.
Do you have an EFS, or do you have somebody in house?
No, I have an EFS. It's funny you ask, only because I hired him as a TSL. So, so he knew me before. So when I became an agent, I said, and I don't want to say I cherry picked, he happened to be in our area. So I said, hey, I'm going out. You want to partner together? And he said, absolutely. So,
what does that relate?
Go ahead.
What does that process look like? What is the process between your LSPs and your EFS, and how do you keep everybody accountable and yourself accountable between those three parties?
Well, and it's changed over time, mostly changed because of the IPS piece. Look, he's not going to get a piece of my 0.5, that $5,000 a month that I can get. So I take it as my responsibility to get the 6 to 8. Now, what he's promised me, he says, Mark, if you can, he was ranked in the top 5 in the country last year for the number of IPS. Now, 100 of them came from me. We wrote them. We put them in his number. But he said, you will never, ever, ever, ever have to worry about production credit. I said, that's all I want to hear. I'm like, there's our marriage. He's got an office in my office, but we may see each other once every 2 months. He's got a couple sub-producers and an admin person. I mean, Dan Hackett, he does, in our region, he's been the reigning #1 for a long time. And I know countrywide, he ranks in the top 10. So his business is built big enough now that, in fact, He told me the other day, Mark, if you find someone who has $20 million, I don't have time for him. He goes, I have too many clients. And having an EFS say that is kind of crazy. So yes, I'm blessed on the financial side, but we do a whole lot of marketing and a whole lot of work on the IPS side, knowing that the rest is taking care of itself.
That's awesome. And I think you brought up a good point that I don't think a lot of people think about, which is you created a great business relationship between your EFS. It's not a, what can you do for me? It's literally helping each other out in both your businesses.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people say, they think they'll get the silver bullet EFS. And it's like, dude, what are you doing for him? You know what I mean?
You know what? It's funny. Agents will flock to the good EFS. In fact, if you have a good EFS, you have to do all you can to keep the other agents away from them because he won't have enough time for your stuff. Now, the same is true. EFSs talk as well. EFSs know what agents are there and who out there is a real partner. And you'd be surprised that I've been approached more than once by other EFSs saying, hey, whenever you want to jump ship from Dan, you just give me a call. And that's a good feeling. I mean, Dan and I kind of made a pact that we're both retiring on the same day because I'm no good without him. It'd take too much income out of my business. And he says it wouldn't be any fun anyways outside. So he actually is, I don't know if he's the only EFS, maybe there's 2 or 3. He actually is also an EFS in Florida. He has a house in Naples and a house in Michigan. So he flies back and forth and works with agents in both states. And he has probably 6 to 7 agents. And he's got 3 like in Naples and 4 or 5 here in Michigan. And
that's cool.
And then just runs his business.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else can I tell you guys about?
I love the numbers and all these numbers that came out when we were talking the other day. Why don't you talk a little bit, because you discussed marketing,
Right.
and you also brought up a interesting stat about the spend on marketing per million, right? I think you had it at 1,000.
Yeah, $1,000 per, and I'm pulling up my dash while we speak just so I can stay true to some of my numbers. You know, one of the hardest parts, at least for me, it was different when I was $5 million, and I think it's different when you're 2 million and 3 million and 4, and you keep going up, because we all know that role changes over time. For me, because I have to do so many quotes, it takes 70% of my time to figure out how to get 1,000 to 1,500 quotes into my business. I promised my staff, I said, guys, I am not the type of person to walk around and say, get on the phone, get on the phone, get on the phone, get on the phone. Now I do tell them, look, dude, if I walk by and don't see your headset on, something's wrong, but I'm not going to tell you to make another phone call. What I will promise you is that 70% of the leads you work on will come from me. I will drive them. The other 30% you have to drive. So if you're not driving them through your own referrals and through your own asking out in the field, and you're not handing out your business card, all those things that go along with it, then we might not be a good fit. But I will drive 70% to you, and my salespeople make between 45 and 65. That's kind of my sweet spot. So 70% of the quotes, if you think about it, we'll just say 10 salespeople who got to do 100 to 200 quotes a month right there. So I've got to deliver to them somewhere between 700 and 900 warm transfers. And I say warm transfers, could be internet leads. It could be a variety of things. And then we track real close the guy who quotes the single line versus the multi-line, not doing a pup. We'll do the audit for the month and go, wait a minute, he quoted 200 people and nobody needed a pup quote. Really? So I said, worst case scenario is at the end of the month and say, oh, by the way, I forgot to include one of our most important policies. I'm a big believer that there's a window at the start of the day and a window at the end of the day. If you can work really efficiently between 8:30 and say 10:30 and 3:30 and 5:30, you can have a great day. But I ask guys and I ask agents, LSPs, what do you do between 8:30 and 10:30? Well, it's too early to call people. I'm like, okay. You text anybody? Do you email anybody? How many leads do you set up for conversations? And you're not setting up quotes, you're setting up conversations. Do you have time for me today? Can we talk today? Do you have a minute for me today? And you'd be surprised at how many clients, if you talk to them the way they want to be talked to, email or text messaging, and your phone call being the third one, you'd be shocked. If you send out 10 postcards, no information on it, just say, please give me a call. It's very important I talk to you. They're going to call you.
Yeah.
So e-agent, the other measurement piece is X dates and to-dos. So if I go in there at any given time, I know how many X dates. So for the month of May, we already know how many X dates are in our system. So that kind of gives me a barometer of how many quotes we should have. And those X dates came from working 6 months ago and working 12 months ago. There's always some sort of measurement piece that you can move back to activity to create a process.
I love the contrarian mentality where, you know, the LSPs come in and they want to get all situated at the prime time. And it's like, no, this is take action during this window and then coast in the afternoon, right? When there's nothing, when you're not going to be getting a hold of people anyway. Or
so,
that, you know.
Right, we do a little multitasking type stuff. We're members, I enjoy Craig Wiggins' team and I enjoy the ASA team sort of thing. We just got equated to each other. So while you're sitting there sending out emails, your screen should be up and there should be some video playing that's making you better in some way, teaching you a product, whatever it might be. The worst case scenario is we also, what's fun, and the whole staff has it, but we created a YouTube channel for the office. I think it cost me $9 a month or something. So everybody's got the sign on, but you have to go to YouTube and you can type in motivational, whatever you want. You can type in life insurance and you can get the actual Allstate videos with the link to send out on life insurance. You can get it on PUP, on LPP, every product we have. If you think about where the world's going, they are building a world where you and I don't exist anymore, where clients get information. You know, I'm a big Amazon Alexa lover, all right? So I got Alexas in the all over the office. I got them at home. I got them at my kid's house. And if you go and download in there and you download the Allstate app into Alexa and you download Liberty Mutual and Safeco and State Farm, and you'll see who has the most knowledge. And I just go, hey, Alexa, what's liability insurance? And she tells me. And I look at my staff and I say, do you sound like that? Do you sound that good? I mean, she's good. And so they go, no. I said, well, that's how you got to sound. I said, God forbid that a little box replaces you someday. I said, that's where we shine as a trusted advisor sort of thing. So we do all that. Like, there's crazy coverages. They're all in YouTube, swear to God, and they're all in Alexa. So the staff has to, and we pick like, okay, it's your job to find our favorite motivational YouTube thing this week. And they just download it and everybody watched it for 5 minutes and we laugh, and trust me, I have to bring them back sometimes because they err on that side of a little too risque sometimes. It's, but it makes the office enjoyable and fun.
Well, and that's how you connect with this new workforce, right? If you're not talking the YouTube language, then then you're a dinosaur.
We've made 10 job offers this year, and we might end up bringing on 2, maybe 3. We have a 3% unemployment. I have never fought so hard to find, recruit, and hire good people. I got turned down last night. I was so bummed. Had a great interview. She was ready to sign. She wants to sleep on it. She got another offer for, $5 grand more and kicked me in the butt. she never called to see if I'd counteroffer. She was life and health licensed and was a calling machine. And I could not, so trust me, even guys who've been around for a long time still run into the same roadblocks that the brand new agent does. We just know there's another one at the end of the road.
So Mark, you brought up ASA and Craig Wiggins. Have you ever tried Agency Vault?
No, but I plan to.
Maybe,
yeah.
No.
maybe we can get Craig here to give you maybe a little
Go ahead, give me
there for a few days or something.
that would be
Yeah,
great.
I'll give you. We'll give you a login. I'd love to get you in there. But when you speak to the number one challenge, which is identifying, hiring, and onboarding them, and
Right.
that's what we've developed, this assessment that works, and it
Really?
looks for the specific sales attributes. So I don't want to turn it into an Agency Vault ad.
You know what? Here's what else.
That's why I said something.
And that's okay. Well, I wish you guys would, and you should do that all the time, the work you guys put into it. But you know what? Craig's team is different than ASA's team, and I'm sure you guys, there is something to learn from every single venue out there. So 4 or 5 guys that I know that all work together that are different, and still, it's like we have 220 agencies in Michigan. I don't think you could walk into one that's all the same. And there's 40 successful ones. So I can learn, and I do that twice a year. I search out whoever is the top producer, and I go sit in their office for a couple of days. No one said no, all right? But I just learn so much. I'm becoming an old dog. Some of these new guys are just, with technology, are like unbelievable. So anyways.
That's cool, man. I mean, that's it. I think like you nailed it down when you definitely put down a percentage of your budget towards increasing the top line and marketing. And I think you have to do the same thing with research and development. Like it's an ongoing process. Like that has to be part of your daily, monthly, or at least yearly. Like things are changing drastically. Like we just talked about Alexa. 3 years ago, it would have been a different conversation. And 10 years ago, you would have never thought we would have a computer in our pocket that can.
And, I sat on the technology team for home office. So there's like 6 or 7 of us, and we test things out, and we're testing out the new Outlook or whatever. And I was hoping to have it by today, but the new texting platform Insight eAgent. It's kind of been secretive, but that's coming soon.
That's awesome.
And it's a good one, and it'll go into history in eAgent. It'll be 10 times better. But they're already building Alexa type stuff for your office for training. Wow. You could ask a question and it comes back with an answer. I mean, and for hiring a new staff, picture having their answer person sitting on their desk, and they can about any product. I mean, because invariably the new guy that I hire gets a phone call, and it's a guy that has like 7 cars, 2 homes, some crazy business, and wants everything. And he has no clue what to do other than quoting the auto and coverages. And so anyways, technology's been cool. I do like embracing technology. That's on the commercial side.
Yeah.
We do enough commercial just to stay active in it. I should do more, you know what, but it just, 1,500 quotes, 20 people trying to do 6 to 8 IPS a month and take care of my twins is enough.
You got to follow. Yeah. You got to focus on what you do. And if you're trying to be everything, I mean, we're supposed to be the one-stop shop, right? But you can't. I mean, that's ludicrous.
My goal years ago was to be 4 locations, $20 million in size, $5 million in each one. And I did get to 4 locations. I did get to 32 people. I didn't get to 20. We were building to that because some of them were scratches. And I just chose at that time, I'm like, I don't want to be that dude who doesn't see his family or whatever. But but it's okay. I think $12 million is in size is all right. And you know, I'm probably in the last 5 years of the career, and I've got LSPs who are chomping at the bit to buy my book and just want to kick me out anyways. But it was good. It's good.
That's cool. So what have you seen the biggest changes? Where do you see your business going? And I don't know, what do you project? Like,
you know what? And that's a good question, because it's, when we became EAs, or when the switch happened back in 98 to like 2002, and internet leads just came out, and no one was ever going to do internet leads. They're junk or whatever. And then I think there came a point in time between 2000, say 2012, like if you didn't do some internet leads, you probably weren't going to make it. I think warm transfers are the big thing today. And I think that's changing a little bit. I just joined a pilot with H2 Insight, which is one of our vendors, who just launched their own warm transfer type company, and they're piloting a few of us around the country. And so the warm transfers from H2 are different than the warm transfers from other. H2 is like our only phone company or phoning company that Allstate is going to allow you to send your book of business to. So if I want to cross sell, I've got to I could send them all my home without auto, auto without home, and their team would call them all the time and warm transfer to my office. I think the take on the next 10 years is trying to leverage outside vendors. I do picture, I remember everybody was talking, well, you're going to be up to 10,000 square feet and 15,000 square feet for an office. I think you're going to have 1,000, 2,000 square feet, and you're probably going to have 6 people there with your iPhone like you showed, and they're going to have a desk, and they're just going to sell with very little, I mean, paperwork, nothing. And I think, so I go through, to get my call volume, I go through an outside warm transfer company. I have it fluctuates between 7 and 10 telemarketers that work Monday through Friday, 40 hours a day. That's an outside service. I have H2 who calls on my book of business for retention. I have the CIC who does a lot of the stuff for late pays and things like that, and cancellation, and they're taking over. So I see the age of pushing things out for other people to do the work, so you can stay focused on marketing and writing business in your office. That's where I see the future going. How that works out, if you think about, well, it isn't Allstate talking about a call center where someone else is going to do all our service work and they're going to charge us. I'm sure you guys have heard about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And everybody was up in arms. I mean, we're still up in arms. But I think we got up in arms on the cost. No one was yelling, like really yelling, like, no, I want to talk to my client or whatever. I'm like, I want to talk to them so I can sell them. But if they want to change a car, I'm fine with them going, so I just don't like the cost that you were going to give me. So I believe that somewhere over the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to figure out the cost. They're going to figure out how to do it with 1,000 different phone companies that we all use that have to transfer calls back and forth. I just see us extending our office out, not necessarily having a bigger office, if that makes sense.
Well, they have the ability for that scaled training, right? So just like the pockets are so deep when we screw up, and you know, you can afford a bigger screw up than most, right. But a scratch agent that's just coming in and they don't know anything. They just got out of the training and here it is, go. And they don't know what the hell's going on, right? It's just, they just get lost. So
they barely know how to do home and auto, let alone any other product outside of that, or service it, you know. So
right.
I know. I was also the NAC, they called it the NAC back then, mm-hmm. which is new agent consultant. So I had to I was with all the newbies for the state of Michigan. So I know what it was like. My goal with agents when they come on board, and even LSPs, my goal is to tell you what you're going to feel feel before you feel it. In other words, I already know if you're a brand new agent starting out, you're going to be so excited in the first month. You think life is great, but somewhere in that end of that second month or the third month, you're like, oh shit, this is work. And I'm lost and no one's calling me back. I'm not getting an answer. My marketing's not working. And I have to remind them to settle down, stay focused on your numbers. All right. When you leave at the end of the day, did you do 20 quotes for the day? If you didn't sell, fine. You're going to have days that you sell a lot and days that you just quote a lot. Just the numbers will soothe you if you stay focused on your numbers. I think our margins will change a little bit. Our margins were more before for a new business. We could make more money on less invested. I think those are going to change a little bit and come down. But guys, we still have a pretty good gig. In fact, a really good gig. I hope it doesn't go away. I just got to stay current in new technology and stay focused on the numbers.
I think so. I mean, if it's twice as hard, you just use technology to sell twice as much with the same amount of people.
I know it.
I mean, that's it. I think people need to shift their focus a little bit more on what's really going on instead of like what was going on. I hate looking in the rear view mirror because you miss what's going on in front of you.
Well, it's funny. Everybody remembers the good old days. Well, somebody thinks the good old days are today. I told them I started when I was selling with Allstate, selling when I was 25, 26. And I remember being in meetings with those 50-year-old sales managers and 50-year-old agents, some in their 60s, and they were complaining, oh my God, it was horrible. How dare you take away my microfiche and give me All-Star and then All-Star to Alliance. And I'm just like, I said, if I ever get to that point where I'm not happy, will you please shoot me, put me to bed? Allstate, here's the key. Allstate creates a compensation system for the average person. And if you can't beat or run faster than the average person, then something's wrong. All I got to do is outcompete the average agent. All our goals are not that high. They really aren't. I don't like the new structure where, our new bonus structure where it's unended and I rank now to win an award. I do like a solid number to hit, but that's fine. I'll get used to the new one. But they build Allstate's world around $3 million books. And I think I can outdo a $3 million book. So when that gets done, I'll probably call it quits.
Yep.
So anyways, and I don't know, should I interview you guys now?
It's free flow. How are you on time?
Very free flow.
That looks like an office there.
This is my, I just turned the lights off. It's okay. My half office, half studio.
So, and you are in what city?
I'm in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
I have two locations. So I have I have here, this is my main office. I just bought this building, and then I have an office in a small town. It's a satellite, which has its own challenges. They pay in cash and it's unique. So it has its challenges, but it's great. There's a lot of growth and there's opportunity there. So that's good. And then I'm going to be doing ECP September 1st because
Are you really?
Yeah.
Good for you. Then I'll be calling you with, I still get hit up all the time. When are you going to open your, I'm like, come on. I was thinking about like coasting for a while, but, and I ran into my RSL and we just had a RAV meeting and I said, hey, how about if I sell my book solo? And I'm going to take all 18 of my people, I'm going to open up an ESA. He said, well, that sounds good, but one, you can't do it. You have to be unemployed away from Allstate for 15 months or something. But I'm like, well, that's fine. I can sell this thing, start back up in 15 months and have no debt at all. Sometimes I wonder how I would have got to the point I did without Allstate Bank. I mean, Allstate's a good company. If you want to grow, they will generally be there to help you. They might You know, we all have gotten turned down, even the best agents, whether you want to sell or you want to buy a scratch, or we've all gotten turned down. I've watched them say no to some of the best agents in the world. But I do
10 years for them to say yes.
Yeah. You just keep asking. It's like my 8-year-old, same thing. She just keeps asking. I'm like, and every 5 years it comes around. I remember going to a leaders forum and Matt Winter stood up there and said, I want everybody to be $10 million in size, and everybody left, and there were more buyers and mergers, and then they put the brakes on that right away. They said, nope. And now they want to be 3. Well, stick around a few years, then they'll want 5, and then they'll want, so relax, don't burn bridges, and you will be just fine.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
But 34 years with Allstate, I've watched a lot of leaders come and go. I've watched a lot of agents come and go, but the agents seem to stick around more. I've never seen a good agent leave. One that, like you guys, is not only about becoming larger or bigger or that sort of thing, but he also has the right mental attitude, the right outside attitude, and he is there to help agents, his fellow agents, and he doesn't get too wrapped up in someone who might, some agency who has an LSP who stole a quote from him, or
right.
You know, some of these things that we get so caught up in that are not the end of the world, and on the grand scheme of things are midgets, and they're just throwing you off your game of trying to figure out your numbers and how to do another quote and how to write. Yes, your LSP, who they took that quote from, is going to be bummed out that day, but that's why they pay us the big bucks. Figure out how to make them happy. I mean, take them to lunch and say, don't worry about it. I'll pay you for that. Will you do 5 more? If I pay you for that one, will you do 5 more for me tomorrow? And they all go, yes.
It's just mentality. I mean, it's just like anything in business, right? I mean, the successful business people help other people out. They get help. Like, it's just, I mean, it's,
yeah.
I think that there's a lot of people maybe starting agencies that aren't necessarily business people. So they kind of get locked into that, you know,
Right.
They stole my policy. It's like, who cares? Like, it literally has, if that's a big portion of your business, that one policy, then
Right.
you are screwed.
Right. Yeah. And look, it still hurts when it happens, but you got to figure out how to move on rather quickly and get back into the game. And that's probably the hardest parts for agents, is because they start out small. Look, I love selling. It was fun. But you get to a certain stage that I can no longer sell. Then I got to the stage of managing my office. Well, then you get so big that you don't ever manage the office. Now you manage the company. And I have office managers in there. So you just got to figure out where you're at and what level you want to get to. Maybe you always want to sell. And I've had guys say, no, 3 million in size is all I want. I want to meet clients all day long. I want to talk to them. I want to sell. Well, that's fine. More power to you. Everybody finds their own happiness or that level. And that goes back to, it cracked me up. The guy that was making over $1 million, the agent, was not even close to happiness as that guy that was making 40 grand. Because I'd go to the guy that was making 40 grand. He lived a little podunk town. He was still a big guy in a little town, didn't need lots of money, and he was always happy every day. And That's guy awesome. That was making $1.2 million had 23 staff, and his hair was pulled out. He was always a wreck. And anyways, I don't know. Everybody finds their own happy spot. So just,
I wonder why. Did he lack the processes and the structures or just?
He had 1 staff. He didn't want to have 2 staff. He was
no. The big guy, the guy with the million. You know, he's when you have an operation, right, and you have a company, you've got to have those processes and everything tightened up, or a lot of stuff will fall through.
Well, part of his issue is that, and I ran into the same thing. You know, they say good things come from bad things. So when I went through that divorce, that was a really bad thing. But it was the first time I really had to let go of my office and let my office people run the office and not micromanage. And I wouldn't be sitting here having some construction done in the back of the house, picking my kids up in a half hour if that didn't happen, because I was forced to let go. And guess what? It did pretty good. And then they figured out that they could make decisions, and I wouldn't come back and give them a hard time about the decision they made. And it was night and day. And that was a good thing.
I think part of it too is being self-aware. Like maybe that guy doesn't want to have 24 staff. He doesn't want to have that. He might want to make the money, but not want to do the work. Like, be self-aware.
Absolutely. I ask guys, so what do you do, just like me, what do you do in the first hour of the day? When you walk into the office, what is your game plan from 8 to 9? What do you measure? What do you say to the staff about what happened the day before? Do you say anything for a little bit of motivation, saying, hey, let's have a goal today? I have 2 offices. You know what they love to do? Play Battleship. They have a Battleship board in each office. So when one office sells something, they send a message over to the other one saying, okay, B4. And the other office says something back to say, miss. So the goal is to sink, because they know that they got lunch if they sink a battleship. And the only way to sink a battleship is to sell a policy so you can guess. And you actually—
I love that. That's awesome.
It costs me lunch. And we'll switch it up. So this month is all about IPS leads. If you get an IPS lead, because we found out that the sales guys loved the game, but the service folks didn't feel like they had a chance to play. And now that we've moved it over to an IPS, the service folks are kicking the sales guys' butts in Battleship. And it's just, we try to find a way to have fun. We share dinners once a month. Once a month, everybody show up if you want. We don't invite family or whatever, but we have just last month we went to the hibachi grill or whatever, where we all had to sit around, but it was only an hour and a half. I think it cost me like $150 for the night or something like that, because but if you do that once a month and you have fun things that go along every day, and they know your numbers, they know I need to see 75 to 100 quotes a day, and everybody's got to pull their fair share on doing it. And they hold each other accountable. I'm a big sports guy, and I'm a big Michigan State man. And Tom Izzo, I've known him for a long time. My brother-in-law was the assistant head football coach with Nick Saban at State. So I hang out, and they give me tidbits all the time about coaching team and saying things. So you have to have your team locked in. And every good team has 1 or 2 court leaders. So, I mean, Draymond Green was one of them for Michigan State. Izzo didn't do much. He just told Draymond, and Draymond yelled out what to do to everybody. This year for us, it was Cassius Winston who pretty much ran the team. And the year before, it was someone else. And the same thing Saban does down in Alabama. He has 2 people that run the team. So you better take good care of those 2 people, and they'll manage your team. If you have a bad leader in your office, you best figure that one out, because you'll never grow.
Right. And it always goes back to you too, right? I mean, you can't have a good leader or a good team member if the ultimate leader is not playing at that level.
So one of the easiest techniques is, I got my staff tied into, they come in the morning, they'll click dash, they click their quotes that they did for the day before. And if you click on that in dash, that gives you your quotes for the last 2 weeks. Now you look at that list for the last 2 weeks, and it's going to tell you who is 2 cars, 3 cars, 1 cars, who's a renters, who's a homeowners, because it has it off to the right. And you got to mark it different to those. So I say, guys, there's a 3-car auto deal, 2 homes. Don't you think he might like a personalized postcard? But I mean, anything. So you got 1 hour to do text messages, email. I'm a big believer in phone, email, text, postcard, phone, email, text, phone, email, text. So when I send an email out one day, it's, hey, how you doing? The next day has got to be a link from Allstate's website about a coverage that he should understand more. Maybe the PUP policy, maybe liability, maybe choosing whatever. Say, hey, I know we briefed over this rather quickly. I just want to include a link on something. You got any questions? Feel free to give me a buzz back. Or somebody whose X date is coming up a month out. You don't call and say, hey, can I quote? But 2 months out, you say, hey, I'll be reaching out to you next week. Here's a link that you can take a look at in the meantime to kind of refresh your memory of what we talked about last time. Now, the client doesn't remember what you talked about 4, 5, 6 months ago, but he likes, so you never just keep selling. You always keep, it's sales, educate, sales, educate. And then the text message that can go out is, hey, it's now a good time to talk. And you'll get, you send out 10 in the morning between 8 and 9, you'll always get 3 or 4 say, no, 3 o'clock's good, 1 o'clock's good, and that sort of thing. And you kind of set your day up. So 8 to 9 to 10 o'clock in that area, you got to be productive. But you do it off your dash and your quotes for the last 2 weeks and that sort of thing. And that's just process work trying to make your new guys better.
Yeah, that's great.
So,
I like your jab, jab, right hook right there.
we all get bombarded so much. You two are probably like me. I mean, I send out a lot of texts. Usually it's family type stuff between 7 and 9 in the morning. Then I do my work stuff during the day. And then the text messages for family and stuff between baseball and everything else start kicking in again about 3 o'clock to about 7 o'clock. And then usually by 8 o'clock, you sit down and you put the phone down and you go, I'm exhausted. But you got to kind of coordinate that during the day so that you don't, if you're sending out an email at noon, nobody's going to read it. There's
right.
a reason that you open up your phone in the morning and you got like 10 brand new emails that came in from the night before. It's a proven fact that emails received between the hours of 5:30 in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning have a 30% greater chance of being read. Just is. So, but the staff doesn't know that, so they send the email out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon while they're at work, and then the guy just he's like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to clear the crap out. So communicate at the times when people want to be communicated to.
Yeah, and it helps you stay productive too, right? Like that's what I always say in the office is like, we get thrown all this stuff all day long. And if you're just taking it right then and handling it and then handling something else, I mean, it'll take you 10 times longer to have a day.
I know. So
Reactive.
we're segmented in the office. We have just salespeople, and we have just service people, and we have just retention people. And every now and then, because of vacations and stuff, people step in to pick up the other. It's funny. The service people never step in to do the sales part, but the sales people will always step in to do some of the service work.
Yeah.
Anyways, so what else, guys?
Gosh.
This is great stuff, man.
It is good stuff.
It's awesome. I want to make sure that we respect your time too. Because you got the twins. How much left do we have?
Yeah, I've got the twins. They should be strolling in here in like the next 15 to 30. But they know if my door's shut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you had to go get them. I think something like we could close the loop on the concept of it used to be the neighborhood agent, and now something that you said yesterday or the day before was if you don't market to the entire state, you're not going to grow.
Well, yeah, and I'll clarify that a little bit. If I'm $1 million book and I want to grow 20%, and I've got to do 25 quotes a day or 20, whatever that number is. If I'm small, then I can stay within 5 miles. And if I had my preference, I'd always stay within 5 to 7 miles. But it kills me that the guy that's grown from $1 million to $4 million still is committed. Now he's got a $4 million committed to just marketing within 5 miles. And I'm like, you have to go out farther. In Michigan, we don't have a choice. And I'm pretty sure that's the same countrywide. Plus, the population is getting much more comfortable with talking with people an hour, 2 hours away. I mean, how does Allstate sell at the 800 number policies all day long through the CIC in your state and my state from people that aren't around? So I just think if you're not doing that, you're missing out.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know anybody. My office is really different. It's an older office. It's about I would say it might be like 30 years old at this point. But it's had like 7 different owners, and we're on the second story. We don't get any walk-ins. Like we get very few. We're in the same building as a State Farm and Farmers.
Okay.
So the only people that walk in are walking to all the other ones. It's not great business. Anyways, I mean, it just ends up being a lot of time spent. But I mean, everybody wants to do stuff we're like 90% over the phone. No, I'd say we are 98% over the phone, 99%. We almost never do anything in office.
Yeah, well, you know what? With 2 locations that are an hour apart where I'm at, I have one location in a city, and it's not super small, but a pretty big city. I mean, it holds $6 million agency, and I'm not the only one there, so obviously there's people there. But in that city, people like agents. They will come in and talk to you all day long. And when I have a conversation with a client, they appreciate what the recommendations I'm giving and everything else. My main office is in an area that my clients think they know more than I do. They don't want to come in, and I have to talk to them differently. They don't appreciate an agent as much. Someone, and I forgot who said, I got an office at, one of you guys said, I got an office that still takes cash. Well, that office that has the people that love the agent, still bring in cash. It kills me. We still take on average $2 to $3 grand a month to the bank. I'm like, and we try to say, you should probably, think about a checking account. We're not even trying to talk them into easy because they don't even have a checking account. In my Granville office, if I said cash, they wouldn't like, no, I don't carry cash. I just have cards or whatever. So I think it just depends on where your office is. There'll always be, those little Midwest towns that they still want to bring cash in or whatever. And then they'll have those other places that it's all done online. So interesting.
I wanted to bring up real quick something you said earlier. You were talking about how your company's grown, how you were overlooking everything, and then you have managers, and now you manage managers. And looking ahead, I think a lot of agents at times want to put the horse before the carriage. When I do this, when I get this much money, then I'll do this. But it's totally the opposite. Like if you want to be where you're at or something, you got to set it up with that. You got to have that goal and the clarity and say, you know what, I can't be the agent in the office. I have to focus on the overall to be able to set it up like that.
Correct. Although I do think that you have to live in that world for a while where you do the work so that you know what they're doing. You can't teach it unless you know how to do it. So
True. Yeah.
I mean, it always cracks me up because I'll meet the new agent at a market meeting or something like that. He goes, oh yeah, I hired 6. I just manage. I don't talk to clients. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. What are you managing? I'm like, your book of business right now is 0, 5 or whatever. So I know you get to watch them make phone calls and stuff like that, but you should probably try it sometime. See what it's like.
Right. True.
So anyways, but there's windows. When you're sitting at $2 million, it's a big change to go from 2 to 3. It's a whole different, you have a different office, you have 1 or 2 different staff, your role changes. Then from 3 to 5, it changes. And then from 5 to 10, it really changes. Some of our big buddies out there that have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 locations sort of thing, I don't even know how they do it. But obviously they set the process up to get there.
A really good general manager.
Yeah, there you go. And they
That's
have
what you
really
got,
good
you know.
people underneath them.
Yeah.
They got to.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
get that leverage.
So any changes this year in your guys' world, coverage-wise, policy-wise? They still selling home and auto in Arizona?
We have home and auto. Jason doesn't have too much home in California, unfortunately.
Like 10% of the state. So
Wow. What
a
part
lot
of
of broker.
California, Jason?
Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach. Fair God.
Yeah, it's nice.
Beautiful area.
I love it out there. That's where I grew up near there. So maybe
Really?
that's why I'm connected.
Yeah, I got a sister in Marin County up, a little bit north or in east of San Fran. So that Napa
cool.
area. Napa
Very
Valley.
beautiful.
Oh God, I love it. Hate the politics and the pricing out there, but I do love.
Yeah.
You can't beat the weather and the views.
Right. Yeah, totally. That's what people pay for, right?
We got 6 inches of snow. Today's what? Today's Wednesday. We got 6 inches of snow.
What?
Sunday. We had a huge snowstorm. Today it's 60 degrees. Snow's gone.
Wow.
But our springs here are nutso in March and April. You never know. And my boat goes in the water in 2 weeks.
Oh.
Nice.
So
Okay.
I'm praying for our 3-month summer.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, what kind of boat?
38 Sea Ray.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just something the kids and I like to go hang out on Lake Michigan. And, we're a half hour from the lake. So, the largest inland lake in the United States. It kills me that people here don't take advantage of that. It's not like the ocean. It's not salt water. You cannot see the shore and be in the middle of somewhere, and it's just fresh water.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember I used to play in rock bands and tour around the country, and I loved
I wondered what's your posters back there.
We got Striper over here.
I do know who that is.
That was one of the bands I was in
Oh, really?
back in the day. Yeah.
I was trying to figure that one out.
I'm doing an 80s wall back here.
There you go. From rock band to insurance agent.
Yeah. There's a few other things in between.
Oh,
Something's good, something's bad.
What'd you play?
Drums.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Still play at church now.
I bet. Mom and Dad started me on drums little, and then they took them away. I've got no artistic ability. My children just ask me, please, Dad, just don't sing.
Same here.
Yeah. Anyways, well, guys, it's been a pleasure. Any parting questions before I get back to the grind?
What's the one thing that you would tell every agent that might not be as jovial as you? You were talking about how it's nice to talk to happy Allstate agents. So what about for those ones that are feeling down or looking at the negative?
I don't know. You know what? The thing is that we all have those moments. It's whether or not, that book, Emotional IQ. You have to control. Look, I plan to beat Allstate. That's all I wake up in the morning and it's a game. And the minute I decide that it's not a fun game anymore is the time I get out. It's getting more challenging, but I don't know if that's because Allstate's changing or if that's because I'm getting old. I'm not the young buck who runs, but I do think I'm a lot wiser today. I stay in tune to the numbers. I mean, we just took an on average, and you guys know this, when they say you're going to have an on average rate increase of 15%. There's no such thing. Not one person in your book gets 15. We all know that. There's a lot that and it can mentally drain your staff to the point that not only will it affect your retention in your renewal book, but it also then takes a hit on your new business because you choose not to market and quote because you feel bad.
Right.
So you got to make the conscious effort. That's why I stick to the $1,000 per million, regardless of what Allstate does, and focus on my numbers. My margins might change, when the rates are a little better than others. But I have to live by my numbers, because if I don't, then I live by my emotions, and my emotions usually get the best of me. And that would be my food for thought for all new agents or agents who are struggling. Baby steps and stick to the numbers, and you will always be happy.
Love it.
All right.
And the takeaway, you've done it in a 10% closing market, right? And almost everybody has a closing percentage than that.
It was funny because I'm a huge tracker. I've tracked my close rate now, because the number of quotes and everything, for the last 15 years. I mean, even as a sales manager, regardless of what they did on rates, and I've had numerous FVPs and numerous pricing people, my close rate has always been 10%. So when they came and said that we're taking a 15% rate increase, I said, fine, I'm still going to be at 10%. But we're going to make the rate better. No, you're not. I'm still going to be at 10%. You do what you do to make your money. I'm going to do what I do to make my money, and I'm going to build my business up 10% close ratio. And I know how many quotes and how many bodies I need and everything else. And I'll always win. Always.
There you go.
Guys, it's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Mark.
All
Thank
right.
you, Mark.
You guys have a great time. Look
You
forward.
have a good
I'll see you at some meeting somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Take care, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, you too. Thanks.
Your Insurance Dudes podcast is sponsored by Agency Vault, an industry leader in agency coaching, hiring and retaining top talent, and sales training with the 7-step trusted advisor sales framework. Are you up for the challenge? For $99, you'll get 28 days of access and an opportunity to join our private platinum coaching group. For more information, navigate to www.agencyvault.com.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.